Hey everybody, welcome to today's session with Ox, where we cover how to judge a job by the job description and how to tell what goes on behind the closed doors of a company and how companies make job descriptions and ultimately choose a resume that leads to them talking to an employee. So today we're going to go through these different steps. I'm making a cheat sheet for you guys to follow along with. I'll show it on the screen, and everybody that joins will be able to send it out to, or you can request. So to start, how does a company create a job description? They start, if it's a small company, they start by judging the business need. And I think a very good thing to note here is that small companies deal with this different than large companies. Large companies probably have their processes more established than small companies and know a little bit more of what they want, where small companies are trying to figure it out as they go. So a small company might be in more of a scramble, whereas a large company does more of the rinse and repeat. That being said, a small company will have the recruiter will assess the business need either from the executive level or from the manager level, and they'll talk to their team. What does our team accomplish? What are our business needs? And what sort of skills do we need to look for in order to get the right person in the door so that we can accomplish what we need to the fastest? This usually results in the hiring manager talking with the team and coming up with a list of skills and a list of years of experience and the potential previous jobs that a person could have had to be prepared for this position. And this is usually a very fast process and not necessarily a steady or stable one, but at the end they get a list of parameters in order to find the right person, and then they go and put job postings on boards and LinkedIn and Monster and Indeed and others, and hope for resumes to come in. They also get referrals, and those usually get priority over the applications that they get sent in. A large company has had more time to establish this team needs these exact skills, and a good candidate generally looks like this, so they kind of skip some of that initial process of figuring out what the person needs to do. After they figure out what type of person they're looking for, now they're looking at resumes. And on these resumes, it can be very hard to tell things about a person quickly. So they look for these years of experience that they have determined is important. They look for skills, keywords, and this can be everything from managed projects to dealt with customers to managed inventory to, if you're an engineer, to knowing certain languages, or if you're a cashier, to opening or closing a shift. And after they find a resume they think fits, they get a stack of them, and now they reach out and say, we're interested in talking more with you. And now they're judging based on the phone call, that first phone call, whether or not it's a personal culture fit. And a good thing to note in this process is that a lot of times, especially small companies, overestimate the skills that they need and the years of experience that they need. They may start out saying, we need 5 years of experience in project management, for example. But in truth, they can train up somebody with 3 years or maybe even 2 years if they match the right criteria of willing to work hard, good with customers, in order to fill that role quickly and be on the ground and accomplishing what the business needs faster. So a good thing to note is don't disqualify yourself just based off of the years of experience, but instead look more intently at these skills and what you bring to the table that might not be on the job description. So while we're at it, let's look at some job descriptions. So we have here, and feel free, if you have any questions along the way, you can write us on YouTube Live or Instagram Live. I'm seeing them both, and we'll acknowledge and respond. We're saving questions towards the end. So we're looking at a job description here. Let's if we search for, let's say, customer success jobs in Sacramento, we'll get a list of, Google has some lists here, so let's just use that. We have our company names on the left and the position over here on this left panel. So let's look at the customer success manager remote position that is posted by AHA. So we get a little bit of info on this description, but we don't really know what the company does, and we don't really know what goes into this position, but we know this is a remote position. So this might not be the best description to work with, but we can very quickly get to more information. And a good place to go to get more information is the company's website. So I already have it up over here. I just did a Google search for the same company, AHA, and we have a similar role, customer success specialist, remote job that they're hiring anywhere in the US or Canada. More than likely, these are the same roles that are branded different ways in order to get people from different walks of life and experience, or they're a very similar role. And that's something to take into account too with the modern job searching process, is it's not linear and it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes roles have different names. Again, we're looking at the building blocks of a job, which are skills and experience. So in this job description, we'll zoom in so you can see it better. We do have years of experience, 1 to 4 years of experience managing projects related to software delivery at a technology company. Writes well, wants to work on a team, is passionate about delivering extraordinary customer experiences, has a can-do attitude, can work fast, and is results-oriented. So if we break this down, a lot of these are common things that you can get in a lot of places. 1 to 4 years experience managing projects of software delivery, maybe this small software company overestimating what they need. So if you, for example, have worked as a desktop analyst at anywhere, let's say a hospital, or if you've worked deploying, computers for a school, you very well may be qualified for this position based on some of the skills that you learned there. At both of those positions, you have deployed software. So even if you're working at a school and you're setting up Chromebooks for kids, that's what you're doing, is you're taking a computer and you're putting software on it, you're making sure it works, you're testing it, and you're putting it in front of the students that are going to use it, and you troubleshoot and go along and make sure that they're successful with it. And in that often is planning and project managing. You have to come up with a plan of which classes to work with first, and you have to come up with a plan with how to work with teachers. So it's not uncommon to have some experience managing projects, even if your title name isn't project manager, or if you don't have in your previous job description 1 to 4 years of experience managing software projects. Writing exceptionally well, that includes emails, text messages, and a lot of people do that day in and day out. If you've worked at a restaurant and you're good at communicating, or if you've done marketing for a company, or even if you've written your own blog, these are all examples of showing exceptional writing ability that you can showcase to a company to knock off this line item as showing that you are good at that and that you're qualified. Past that, want to work on a team. Going back to the Chromebook example, delivered projects that impacted customer and company growth. You can show that as well if you have that sort of experience. Caring about your customer, making sure that they're successful with what you deploy and what you do. And then you're passionate. So you're passionate about the customer experience. And like I said before, you can get this from working as a server at a restaurant, especially a nice restaurant where you really care about the customer experience. Or maybe you were the desktop analyst and you were working with a physician or a nurse, or even a student. If you really care about that person's ability to learn and thrive using what you did, that's an example of knocking off that bullet point as well. Then the other ones are traits that you can learn anywhere. Can-do attitude and work at a fast-paced and results-oriented. These are personal traits that you can learn and practice. Can-do attitude means you don't back away from any challenge that gets put in front of you. You're ready, you're willing, and you're going to figure it out, be an independent learner, and see that you'll give your best effort to completing the task and being successful. And here's what I would call a very important bullet point here, which is can work at a fast-paced company where the feedback cycle is measured in hours rather than weeks. So of the entire job description that we've looked at, this is one of those that I would call very important in judging a job by the description. So this fast-paced feedback cycle measured in hours rather than weeks ultimately ends up telling about what your response time is expected of you when you're in the company. So if you are deploying, we would say mission-critical software that people are using all the time and might need help with, they might be, deploying projects overnight for a company during the day, and they're using your software to do it. The timing matters. And they also say that it's fast-paced. So what we can deduce from this is that you need to be ready and willing to adopt some of the newer technologies, such as having email on your phone, in order to be able to at least know what's going on. And you can set expectations a little bit, but the team's going to have an idea of, we want you to be ready and willing to work to help our customers, and it's expected to be fast. So for example, if you're used to a little bit more of a slower moving company where it's okay if you respond in 2 days, and there's plenty of companies out there that are like this, that probably won't be something that this company sees as a good quality in the interview. If they ask you if you're used to a fast-paced cycle and you say, well, usually responding in 2 days is fine, that would actually probably be a red flag here. And if you want that sort of cadence, this also would be a job that you wouldn't want to move forward with. So that's part of the name of the game of looking at these job descriptions, is finding some of these bullet points and then going back to the first topic that we covered, why would somebody go out of their way to put this in a job description? Because ultimately on the other side, they're trying to build a team that performs a certain way, that accomplishes a business need. And so if they went out of their way to put can work at a fast-paced company, they probably really care about that. But something that they're probably overestimating on is the 1 to 4 years experience. You could probably deduce that it would be okay if you had 1 or 2 rather than 4. And this is one of many examples. Another good practice is to research the company, and you can usually find this sort of thing on the company website. We have some write-ups on their culture and on their team, the history. At Ox, we always recommend that you work for companies that you are passionate about what they do and their mission, and ultimately the product that they put out, or even passionate about the customers that use the product. So these are all insights you can gain very quickly from one job description. Now let's take a glance at another. Let's say we choose in our search bar here, IT analyst, and we'll look in the same area of Sacramento. And a reminder for everybody that joined, feel free to ask any questions at any time, and we'll catalog them and answer them towards the end. So perfect. We have a Information Technology Systems Database Administrator, Analyst 1 at the Los Rios Community College District. So this is getting out of the smaller company and into a little bit more of an established company. The company being the school that's been around for a while and services 75,000 students in Sacramento. So immediately on this job description, we start with some about information, where they're at, how many students, what type of students go to the school. We get a sentence about their vision. I wouldn't call that enough to work off of. But equally important, you'll probably find more about that in your in-person conversations and from looking at the website than you will in a couple sentences on a job description. Ultimately, these job descriptions are very wordy, and they know that it's easy to lose people, so they try to make it as concise as possible while focusing on the meat and the bones of the description. So I recommend in-person conversations over the phone to be your judgment of company culture and character, and also looking at their website rather than a job description. We get a little more information in this one about what the day-to-day is like in the operations. So instead of having to go straight to the company's website, we can get some more here, which is nice for us. We have a whole slew of tasks here. Everything from maintaining multiple servers to performing installation and patching of servers to working with vendors to creating scripts. So if you are in this IT world, let's say you've been working on an IT team, deploying, at that desktop analyst level, this might be your next level up where you actually get to write some of the scripts and troubleshoot some of the problems. An important thing to notice is that there's no way you're doing all of this in one day. So in those first conversations, a good question to ask is, what does a day in the life on this job look like? And I highly doubt that when your answer is going to be every single one of these things in one day. Most likely, it'll be one thing a lot more than the others, and it'll probably be one of the easier things. So troubleshoots problems and consults with users for system needs, design, and operation. Most likely at a school district, you're not going to be deploying or putting in new computers and new software every day. But after the job gets done, you're going to have to support it every day. So it very well may be that you'll find in your conversations that something like this is more important than the others. And as you talk to the team, that they're not really asking on your ability to create scripts or to design and test scripts. Maybe this is more prevalent. So that's where the job description doesn't do a good job of representing the job, I feel, in that a lot of the in-person conversations or taking somebody that works there to coffee are great strategies to learn more and to get the actual on-the-ground look at what the job looks like. So if we were to try and check off all the boxes, we would disqualify ourselves very fast if we were to say that I must have all of these things before I move forward and talk to anybody or put in a job application. So that comes back to the flaws in making it, which is a lot of times companies overestimate. They say, here's all the things that the entire team does or that the entire portion of the school does, of the IT portion. And they just jot it down quickly because they need to get help to get in the door and to get things done. But in all reality, the person that they're looking for, it may be somebody that's very personable, knows how to troubleshoot, is willing to learn, willing to show up and work hard, and maybe has one or two of these skills, or three, and you'll find out pretty quickly from the teams, but not all. And they're willing to teach you the rest of it. What's nice about this one as well is we have some projects, and like I was alluding to, we don't necessarily have you need to by yourself do all of the above. We have participates in projects and provides some definition. We does project management for servers, software patch, medium-sized project cycles, and manages ongoing priority schedules, completions, and most likely troubleshooting in with that. We got some trainings that they would like you to go to as well with the school, and that they want you to be able to, like we mentioned, communicate well with the other staff. And the teamwork aspect, if you can't communicate well with each other, then you're not going to be able to deploy the computers and do a good job. We do have some strategy, but I would be guessing that a more senior person would be taking that on, and you'd have a shadow period. But these are great questions to ask in those intro conversations. And now to education, and I see your question. We'll get to that in a moment. We have an and/or about education, and I really want to highlight this. This is becoming more and more prevalent in job descriptions, and companies are very quickly changing their policies with all of the different ways to learn online and by shadowing or on the job. You don't necessarily need the bachelor's degree for all jobs, in particular an IT job like this one, and they've specified that for us. So they have an or statement saying you need either a bachelor's degree in computer science, management, engineering, and 2 years experience, or a non-computer science degree with 4 years experience, or an associate's degree in computer science, or a closely related field with 6 years experience. And we mentioned that a lot of times they overshoot some of these, so we can maybe chop off a third of that and go with 4. So this job could be something for a person with an associate's degree in computer science. And I would even say that depending on who's hiring, if you show that you're good at the skills and you can perform the tasks because you have more job experience, that you might not even need the associate's degree. Say if you have a comp TI certification or an A+ certification, those are all other ways without the degree to show proficiency in this IT world. So this shows that they're flexible, and it shows that they're willing to have a conversation. They're willing to have it based on skills, and that's a very good sign. And we have a very blunt statement about the day in the life. So unlike the last job description, we don't necessarily need to read between the lines as much. We have that they want 12 months of experience, max 40 hours per week. So that's defining the experience. I misspoke. We still need to look into what a day in the life is like, and we'll see if we can get to that. This is defining how they calculate experience, which also further shows us that they really care about showing that you have some on-the-ground experience and that you're familiar and you're willing and ready to work. Another thing to note is they want a couple things right off the bat when you apply. A letter of interest, 2 letters of recommendation, transcripts if you did college, or you could probably talk to them and have maybe another letter of interest if you don't, your resume, and they have a specific application. So they're letting you know right off the bat they want these things. You should have it prepared, submit it. And in order to have that box checked that you are paying attention, you're reading, and you put it together. Okay, so we have gone through a lot so far, and they have further things about history and so on. Either way, this is a hard process of dissecting these job descriptions, because if we want to know about a day in the life, we don't necessarily have it. But we do have a statement here, and we'll zoom in a little bit, of how they at least see paid holidays and vacation. We have 17 days of paid holiday, 15 days vacation, 8 hours of sick time. So they want you in the office, is what we're deducing from this. They want you in the office, ready to work. And if you're not going to be, you need to make it clear that you're taking time off and they're tracking it. And so if you're a person that really likes structure, and if you're a person that really likes a community at work, this is a little bit of a nugget of information here that could let you know that this is the right place for you. For example, it might not be the right place for you if you are more of the freelance type. If you want to be able to move around, take your laptop, work remote. I based on this one statement and off of some of the other things we've seen about the tasks and priorities being in person, and also they're not going out of their way to state that it's remote. I would say if you're looking for a freelance job, that this company would not be the first to entertain it, or the school would not be the first to entertain it. You can maybe have a conversation, but if that's a priority to you, you might be best looking elsewhere. So we got a couple questions, and they're on the same topic of what do I type in the search bar and which parts of the job description are most important. And we can cover those in the next one. So now we're going to look at a remote marketing job. Let's say a content marketing, somebody that writes blogs or somebody that does social media and puts together the content for a company remotely so that they can approve it and send it out. So let's see what we find. We're going to do the same thing, content marketing job in Sacramento. And we're using Sacramento as an example. So great, we got a few options here. And I'm looking right now to see if I can see any that are immediately standing out as being remote before I dig in. I'm not necessarily seeing it, so let's maybe look for companies that we know and that we're interested in. Now the first one, I don't know off the top of my head the company that is, but that doesn't mean it's not a good company. It's Inductive Automation. We can look up what they do. We know they're in Sacramento, and we can get some more information about the company and the product that they make, which ultimately tells me, will I be happy in this job every day? Will I enjoy it? Will I enjoy working with the customers? And so it looks like we have engineering heavy controlling of liquids and probably gas. Looks like we have sensors and a bunch of things that if you're an engineer would be really interesting. But if I'm not quite an engineer and I want to write about something that I'm a little more passionate about, this maybe isn't the best choice for me. The second one is Hard Rock, which is a restaurant, a bar. It's a brand. They promote artists. You can go to their restaurant in San Francisco, for example, or they have one in Vegas. I think they have one in New York as well, all over. It's a brand that celebrates rock and roll and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's fun. And they are looking for a digital content writer. And then the next one is the Sacramento Fox News station. So let's go ahead. I like music, so let's look at the Hard Rock one and see what we can find. We have other sources that talk about the salary here, and you'll see that. Some of these are trustworthy, others aren't. You're going to see a big fluctuation. I think Glassdoor is generally the leader in finding out what salary you can expect and what type of job, but the best way is to get in there, talk to some people, and that's a lesson for another time. But it's always good to just kind of see a quick glance at it. So, what did we search for? I was looking. I already knew, to your question of what to type in the bar, I knew that I liked writing, and I knew that I wanted to do blogs and stuff. So what I would have done is to know what to type in the search bar for this. What job do I get to write blogs in? And we'll see what we get back. So our first link, blog writers, jobs. So we have ghostwriters, freelance writers, copywriters, and down here we have content marketing. We can also look at the second link, gives you a couple places to look for jobs. If we look up the definition of content writer, working backwards, or content marketing, we'll get a better definition. At Ox, we're working on a dictionary of what all these different jobs are and what skills go into them. But until then, you kind of have to do some searching, some talking, and kind of pick, scrape, and a little bit at a time chisel away what the different jobs are. And the best way, I think, is to hop on Ox, and we'll pair you with somebody that already knows and we can decipher for you and point you in the right direction. So we know that we want to look at this Hard Rock International job. Let's see what we can learn from it. So we got a lot of information here. Can be overwhelming at first. Bear with me. Let's take it one little step at a time. We got a big list of musts. So must have, does, creates, prepares. So let's try breaking these down. And maybe let's first see if this is a remote job to begin with, because that's what we're looking for. It says full-time. If we scan, I'm not necessarily seeing anything remote. We do see, in order to contribute to the success of Hard Rock Sacramento, so it looks like there's a specific location that we're doing marketing for, which I think is cool. It's more local. It'll be more effective. You might have an office to go into if you want, but nothing in this is necessarily telling me remote. So if we're looking for a remote job, I don't think it's not screaming remote to me, though they might be willing to talk about it. But it does look like it could be a good job. So maybe we'll look at this one. We'll compare really quickly to a remote job. So if we go to the years, we talked about the years of experience a lot and the rules around that. And if you're just joining, the quick summary is the years of experience are almost always more than what they actually need. So don't always rule yourself out. We have 3 to 5 years in a similar position and a business marketing field or an equivalent combination of education and or work experience. Again, just like we talked about, this company is willing to have a conversation. If you've established that you're a good writer, you work hard, you know what you're doing, you have something to show, even if it's a personal blog. This might not be your first job out of the gate, but it's not far off. Maybe you take a freelance job before this, build up your portfolio, and then you're qualified, and they'll have a conversation with you. Or maybe you just launch a killer blog, and you do a good job with it, and you can show it off, and that might be the equivalent combination of education and experience that they're looking for. Every company is different, so don't always rule yourself out, but do be cognizant to what these companies are looking for, and be prepared to put in effort somewhere to showcase that you are good for the role. Okay, got a lot of stuff in here. One thing, ability to develop and create content. An interesting thing is we must maintain licenses, certifications for state and gaming lottery regulations. Why would they have this? It's probably because in South Lake Tahoe, there's a Hard Rock location, and there's some gambling there. So I wouldn't call this necessary for this content marketing job, unless I'm missing something that only somebody that works there would know. But it's probably something they have all their employees get when they start to make sure that they're not promoting anything to minors or doing anything that would talk about, a sensitive topic like gaming or lottery in the wrong way. Again, a really long list here, and I think the best way is to either have that first conversation with the company and learn what a day in the life looks like, or to take somebody that you know that goes there regularly or is an employee to ask to take them to coffee and learn a little bit more about what goes into this. Another key one, experience in the social and digital space, deep understanding of social platforms and how to build integrative plans across a wide network. A lot of big words. But what is in the social and digital space? Facebook, Instagram, blogs, advertisements. So they're looking for somebody that can make some of this content and that can drive to inspire people through pictures, the right words, the right write-ups and blogs to want to learn more and to ultimately click on the screen in front of them thus moving them further along in the process of going to Hard Rock Cafe or to booking time at the hotel or whatever they're looking for. And this is a very specific one, which is understanding of monetization strategies and how to apply those strategies for advertising promotions. So if you've heard of people making money on YouTube, that's an example of this. Monetization strategy is how do we make money? And we could, go through and do a Google search if we don't know what the word monetization means. I just did one on my laptop here, convert things into money. So for example, if you have a blog and you also have a YouTube channel and you're talking about everything, maybe you're doing a goofy cooking channel blog and you actually build an audience and you're putting out good content, people are engaged, you start to build a following and you use YouTube's platform to bring in some money that you get with views, albeit it has to be a lot of views. And we've heard in the news and such about this, but you have to have a certain number of views, say 1,000, I think, until it kicks in, or 10,000 until it's meaningful, or 100,000 until it's something to tip your hat to. But either way, if you get these views, you get money from YouTube because you're bringing people to YouTube to watch it. So you can learn this on your own, is what I'm trying to get at. If indeed you launch your own thing, you do it well, and you can showcase, hey, Hard Rock, I did this with my cookbook, or funny, goofy, cooking channel. People liked it. They signed up. They're watching me. I'm making money. That could be a way to showcase that you understand these monetization strategies that you don't necessarily get in the job. Now, like I said, every company may be different. They may be particularly interested in doing it for a company before, but based off of this, there's no way you can tell, and you shouldn't rule yourself out. So a million other things to go through, and we're working on the process of going through these, so I don't think it makes sense to go through every line item. But this is the sort of mentality you should have, breaking things down, taking these big words and that you might not understand, that no one except the person that's hiring understands, maybe looking them up or working with a mentor or taking a person in the company to coffee to understand what actually does a day in the life look like, what do I really need to be good at, what can I learn on the job in order to see if it's a good fit and to get one step closer. So let's move on. Let's look at a remote copywriting job. What do we think of copywriting? Anyone interested? Everyone? Okay, great. So from this first one, we have a dating and confidence company called Anywhere, where they give us some information about a little bit about their culture, a great working relationships like a first date, makes sense because they're a dating company, and that they're the number one dating and relationship advice for women specifically. So we can already pull from this that we want to be passionate about our audience. We want to be passionate about who we're writing for and what the product is. So we need to have that mindset and the audience in mind. And now we have a better description about what the role involves and what a good candidate for this job looks like. We have writing marketing emails, updating existing marketing emails, creating opt-in, cross-sell, and upsell copy. That's a little specific. We'll look that up later. We have autoresponder. Sounds like what it is, something that you write that responds automatically instead of you doing it. And we can also look it up later. Retention, hot list sequences for our marketing funnels. Either way, this is all mission critical communication. Other fun projects you haven't thought of yet. We have some information about what you need to do. 2 years of experience writing marketing copy. Like we talked about before, it could be marketing your uncle's juice company. It could be maybe you could sell your own blog idea as having that covered, or maybe you did 2 years experience at a job. And something interesting is we have no education. I don't think this company cares about it. So if you are looking for a freelance marketing copywriter job where you can work from anywhere, you can make your own hours. We have 5 to 10 hours a week to start with flexible work hours, with some team meetings between 11 and 3 p.m. Eastern. This could be a great job for you. And also just the candid language tells us about the person on the other side of the computer that wrote it. They seem casual, they seem fun, a little bit lower stress. We'll never know until we talk to them directly, but this seems, if you're looking for a remote marketing copywriter job, it could be a good fit. All right, so let's look at some of these questions in our last couple minutes. When looking for a job, should I apply to jobs online, or are there other things I should do? I highly am an advocate for talking with people in person and building those relationships. If you have a uncle's friend that works for Hard Rock and you're interested in that because you like music, see if you can, at the Christmas party, talk to him. Say, I'm interested in something like this. I have experience with my blog. I would like to become a copywriter. So can I learn a little bit about what it's like to work there? Maybe take you to coffee or somebody on the team to coffee and just have a quick conversation. It's the most effective way generally to learn about something as opposed to going through a million links online. But it's definitely a luxury. So if you have that opportunity, take it when you can. But otherwise, we're using some of the tools that we got, especially for some of these remote jobs. Another question is, how do I know if a job is entry level? I would say there's 2 different ways to distinguish this, albeit they're not always good ones. A classic trend is entry-level job that needs 5 years experience. We see it all the time online. It takes young people, whether they went to college or not, for a loop. It's discouraging. If we type in entry-level, let's use marketing. Let's see what we got. We're looking for years of experience specifically. And I'm specifically trying to see if we find an entry-level job with multiple years of experience, if people are still doing that. Looks like we might not have one right in front of us. If you do, I'm sure you'll come across one. We can type in entry level, which generally means your first job. We can also type in something like no experience required and see if that's in the title. We have a food service team member at Whole Foods, no experience required. And this is great if you're trying to pivot. We have a caregiver, a certified nursing assistant, a great career if you're trying to get your feet wet in nursing and see if bedside manner is right for you. So no experience required is a good search term to go by. We could also do entry level. We could do 1 year experience. And so this is not too fancy. It's just looking through the job description, what has 1 year experience. And in this we have first year experience librarian, and it has what you're going to learn in your first year. We have a job at DoorDash, which is a different level. So that's your first management position, most likely. Hospitality, and let's change our area. I'd rather look in a different area than San Francisco. So either way, we can use these search terms, we can use these key words to at least sift through this broken process of job descriptions, take the little bits of information we can get to best know what the job's about and if it might be a good fit and if it's worth, the 10, 20 hours you put into applying, catering your resume. And those are all conversations that we'll talk about later and help train you guys on. But yeah, this is a good start, and I hope you guys enjoyed the time. And please feel free to reach out with any questions, and we'll send you the cheat sheet that I've been working on over here for you guys to take home and have at your disposal at any time as you're looking at jobs. All right, thanks, everybody.